Hey guys, Dobby back at you. Another video for you, another short story. The rain had been falling for 3 days straight up in the Cascades, turning the Skid Rows into rivers of mud and pine needles. We were a small crew, 5 of us, contracted to thin a section of old-growth hemlock and Douglas fir on the north slope of Mount Rainier. The job was straightforward. Fell the marked trees, limb them, buck them into logs, and get the yarder pulling them down to the landing before the next storm locked us in. I was the faller of that shift. Been cutting since I was 18. Knew the sound of a tree deciding to go wrong before it happened. We started at first light, chainsaws screaming over the hiss of rain on leaves. By noon, we'd dropped a dozen big ones. The air smelled like wet sap and diesel. Around 2 p.m., the wind shifted. Not much, just enough to carry a different smell down the ridge. Old, musty, like wet fur and something metallic. We all noticed it all at the same time. Tommy, the choke setter, killed his saw first. You smell that? We nodded. Nobody spoke. In these woods, you learn not to question weird smells too loud. Could be bear, could be cougar, could be nothing. Then the first tree screamed. Not the crack of a barber chair split, or the groan of a hinge. It screamed like a human voice, high and raw, coming from inside the trunk of the big hemlock I'd just notched. I stepped back fast, saw revving. The tree didn't fall the way it should have. It hung up on nothing, swaying against the wind, then slowly, deliberately twisted back upright like it was righting itself. The crew stared. Nobody moved. That's when we heard the footsteps. Heavy, wet, coming from uphill where the uncut stand was thickest, not running, just walking. One boot crunch at a time through the underbush, matching the rhythm of a man in caulk boots. But the stride was too long, too wide. I shut off my saw. Silence rushed in, rain pattering on hard hats. Distant ravens, and those footsteps getting closer. Tommy whispered, "We should radio the yarder, get the hell out." But the radio was dead, just static. Phones had no bars anyways, always the case up here. The footsteps stopped maybe 30 yards upslope. Then a low sound rolled deep, rumbling like thunder trapped in a throat. It wasn't angry, it was disappointed. Like we'd interrupted something important. We started backing down the skid row, slow, eyes on the trees. That's when we saw it, not clearly, never clearly, just glimpses through the fog and branches. Something massive moving between the trunks, taller than the yarder tower, arms too long, shoulders sloped like it carried the weight of centuries. Dark hair matted with rain and needles. It didn't charge, it paralleled us, keeping pace, staying just out of sight. Every time we stopped, it stopped. We reached a landing at dusk. The yarder operator, old guy named Ray, had the rig idling, lights on. He took one look at our faces and didn't ask questions, just said, "Get in the crummies, we're done." We piled into the crew trucks. Engines started, headlights cut through the gloom. As we pulled away, I looked back in the side mirror. The thing was standing on the edge of the clear cut, not hiding anymore, just watching. Rain streaming off it in the headlights for a half a second. I saw its face, broad, flat, eyes reflecting yellow like a cat's. It raised one massive hand, not waving, pointing back toward the uncut stand we'd just left. Like it was saying, you forgot something. We didn't go back the next day or the day after. The company pulled the contract, said the weather was too bad, blamed it on permitting issues. But the Fallers who took over the job later told me the marked trees were still standing untouched, like we'd never been there, except for one. The hemlock-eyed notch, the one that screamed, had fallen sometime in the night. Clean break at the hinge, no barber chair, no hang-up, just laid flat out, like someone had pushed it over gently, and carved into the bark deep enough the cambium showed white. A single word in perfect block letters, leave. And I still work in the woods, different districts now, lower elevations, places with more roads and less old growth. But sometimes on quiet shifts when the saws are off and the wind moves through the canopy, I hear it again, that low rumble. Not close, not far, just patient, waiting for the next crew to come in and start cutting where they shouldn't, because the trees remember, and the thing that guards them, it never forgets. Thanks guys for listening. Hope you get something out of it, even if it's a good night's sleep. See you in the next one. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever floats you up. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.